there is a quiz at the end of this one as well, but don't worry, it's not quite as serious, and I won't be palming my socks off for you. So, complex billing made simple. That's the tagline for MBilling. So, what is MBilling? Again, we have many partners. iCore is one of them. MBilling is a collaboration between iCore and Millennium. And if you couldn't all see in the darkness the iCore team, I will show you a picture of them later so you can go and speak to them. It's a full order-to-cash solution. Okay, so I don't really want to talk about the full order-to-cash solution that it provides. I want to talk about a segment of it that answers questions to some challenges that I know at least some people in this audience have today. So I'm going to focus specifically today, because I've only got 15 minutes, on the actual complex billing area of it. And I put this in here, and I was talking to the iCore team, and we were discussing, what's really some of the most important parts of, and aspects of MBilling that you can't just, get as a USP off of the website. And it's about continuous change. So that everyone is going through continuous change. We're in the technology age, so we know that. And so you'd expect the product to continuously change, yeah? But it doesn't just do that. It supports your business in when your business is changing, okay? And we'll talk about how that happens in just a second. But it's a really important aspect of it. So I'm going to go through a quick overview of the product itself, and then very quickly, because I've only got 15 minutes, an example of where it's used, just to put a bit of context behind it. Okay, so the first thing, we're talking about complex billing. What do we mean by complex billing? I'm pretty sure everyone's got a slightly different interpretation of what that means who sat in the audience. So it really suits customers who are dealing with large volumes of data or data that is very hard to collect. This is why I should read my slides ahead, because I'm probably going to talk about the next point, which is probably about the data coming from disparate areas, so from multiple systems and in multiple formats. Customers who are dealing with multiple currencies, customers who are dealing with a complicated, difficult rule set behind their products and their customers, their companies, and any combination of those. Okay. Topically, customers who are dealing with multiple VAT rates, and this is a really important one because there are so many customers who deal with manual processes or whose processes are inconsistent due to the nature of their business because of the people they work with, third parties. It's not necessarily in your sphere of influence to control where your data is coming from and the manner in which you receive it. If you're downstream, you're going to get what you're given, yeah, in most cases. So all of these are important, but for me, this is a standout one when I'm talking to customers about MBilling as a solution. And customers who have difficulty in applying the correct rates and rules because of the combination of all of these aspects. Also, onboarding staff. So if you've got a complex business, and you've got a complex operation, and you've got lots of data coming in from lots of different places, and you've got various different processes, and you're doing it in Excel, and you're doing it by email, and you've got integrations and so on and so forth, and your business is growing, which hopefully most of your businesses will be growing, you onboard new staff, you've got to teach them all of those different things, which becomes a job unto itself. So we'll talk about the how it overcomes those challenges in terms of the process that we go through with MBilling. But one of the key features that's really important to enable that to happen is the seamlessness of integration. So it's built to work with Unit4 financials, whether you're on-prem or whether you're using Unit4 Cloud. Yeah, it's built to work with ERP/ERPX. Yeah. I think we established that one's fairly pointless in this room. It's built to work and absorb information from and give information to any external application, yeah, any external database, and this one again is really, really important. Email and Excel, Yeah, we still live in a world where we're using Excel and emails, and we used to have this joke where I used to work about what would happen if someone turned off Microsoft Excel. Yeah, everyone's businesses would crumble, right? With the best will in the world. And there are so many solutions that can help overcome it. But again, it's not necessarily in your sphere of influence to control. If someone's sending you an Excel spreadsheet, they're sending you an Excel spreadsheet. You can't make them not do it, yeah? That boils down to a contractual discussion. And you're getting information in emails, which always requires somebody, funnily enough, you'll find out in a second it doesn't, but typically requires someone to actually sit there and do something with it. And once again, you've got a human doing a job that the computer was designed to do. Yeah, so complex billing helps overcome that. Okay, so how does it do it? Now, I promised I wasn't going to get into technical jargon, so I'm really going to try not to. Okay, put simply, you have to collect the data first. Okay, so you can automate the data collection, and you need to go and speak to the guys at iCall. They will show you some really good examples, a great visual they have. I wasn't brave enough to put a video on the presentation, but of the data collection happening, and you can watch it happening in real time, and it's crazy. Considering we're talking about importing data, it's quite exciting to watch. Yeah, I do have a better life than that, but you get what I mean. We have certified cloud-to-cloud connections already in place. Now, this is really important because as more and more things go to the cloud, integrating cloud to cloud requires quite a lengthy process to be able to go through and do that. Who's integrated other than the Unit 4 team and the iCore team? Who here's integrated cloud to cloud before? Right, why? Either because you don't have it, or which is fine, but what you do is actually really hard to do, right? Because when you see Ben talk about cyber resilience later, it's because there's a lot of hoops to jump through to be able to do cloud-to-cloud integration. Well, guess what? We've already got it in place, yeah? It specialises in handling large volumes of data, and for me, I used to run Derek knows this. I used to run a team of people who would take emails and take the attachments and then process those and load them and put them into some kind of structured data. And I had a whole team of people doing it for what was just one section of the business that I used to work in. And it was a full-time job for these people. And they were great at doing it, right? But there's a whole team of people, absolutely bonkers. And so one of the things that MBilling can do is it can take, we're talking about technology and intelligence, it can take those attachments from those emails, it can lift them out, it can understand what they are, and it can put them into the system as structured data, which allows it to then be processed and analysed. So that's really, really powerful. So like I said, integration, sure, you'd expect it to be able to pull data in, but in the way in which it can do that, yeah, is a game changer for anyone who's having to do it manually. And actually, the light's terrible for me. I'm so sensitive, but I can see some in the audience. There you go, some people who are already using it. The next thing is, of course, it needs to actually then start working out the pricing for your billing. Yeah, so it can perform through its engine complex calculations, and again with every combination of tax, product, customer, and any permutation of that. So it has a really intelligent rules engine that is fully automated, but it has validation steps in. Again, this is really, really important. It knows what it's doing, but if you want to put thresholds in where something needs to be validated, you can do that. If it does come across something it doesn't understand, it's not just going to take a guess at it and go, yeah, we'll bill that person X amount of money. It's going to ask for validation and go through, what you'd expect from a little workflow. Yeah, deals with automated intercompany bookings, and one of the really powerful aspects of it for anyone who deals with royalty rights. So so for those of you who are not involved in that part of the world, royalty rights, think about YouTube and Spotify, things like that. You're listening to music, loads of people get paid every time you listen to a song, okay? leading on to the quiz in a minute. So when you listen to some music, the artist gets paid, the publisher gets paid, YouTube get paid, probably the person whose banner ad that song may have been on in YouTube, if you're watching a YouTube video, will get paid something from it. So it takes all of that information and it can separate the values and make sure the right people get paid the right thing. Or are invoiced for it. So once it's gone through and done that complex calculation, it understandably drafts what the bills should be and seeks approval for them. So this top line is really, really important: compilation and aggregation of invoices. So it will take all of the invoices for one specific supplier and it will smash them all together and give you one big invoice, or not if you don't want it to. It will do it separately. It's entirely up to you, and the frequency at which it does it and all the rules behind it are completely configurable. So you can do one-to-one invoicing if you want to. Yeah, it can deal with multi-language invoicing. So it's not, this company only speaks this language. It will recognise the individual recipients and compile it accordingly. It will deal with reverse billing and invoice, repeat billing, invitation to invoice, which again I think is a really important one. We know you need to invoice us this money. This is what you need to invoice us. Really streamlines things. As I say, validation and approval where desired. It's really, really important that you're comfortable that the information it's handling is right, and so you can set the thresholds as you see fit. Publishing, you'd expect it to be pretty straightforward. There are only so many ways you can publish. So it can print, although, hope that we're not doing too much printing these days. It can email or it can integrate. Now I've added, oh no, I missed one. So posting, I've took to that as a given. So it will post to financials. As I said, there's an integration already built, it's designed to work with financials. As you pass through an intercompany, and it will work with whether you're on cloud, SaaS, VM, or on-prem. Now, I've added this last one on, but sequentially it's not really at the end, and this one is about reporting and intelligence. And again, this is really, really important. You've got all this data that's absolutely critical to your business. Yeah, you don't want to just leave a machine to run with it and see, and hope it works, right? So it will work, but it has a reporting intelligence tool that cuts across all of these processes. That's called I call it an intelligence monitoring tool. It has a data definition engine, which allows you to ensure there's coherency between your master data. I swore I wasn't going to use the word master data because it sounds a bit old now, and people get a bit scared of it. But you will have data that is your master data, whether you recognise it as that or not. It can talk to your master data. You can bring your master data in. You can export from that into something else to make sure that your data is aligned, so that you're operating in a way that allows you to intelligently understand what your business is doing. Yeah, and it has a great information portal as well, and that's really important when it comes to onboarding staff. So I spoke about onboarding new staff earlier. Obviously, there is an objective to reduce the number of human hours involved in these processes. Of course, we're talking about technology, it's what it's designed to do, right? But also, there will still be times when you need to onboard human beings, and those human beings, wonderful that they are, will need to be trained, and they will need to understand. And the knowledge that the MBilling solution holds, and the manner in which it holds it, allows for a simplification of onboarding new staff. And again, I really recommend you go and speak to the team down at the stand about that. So I want to use a ferry company as an example of someone who's using MBilling. Okay, so it's a pretty straightforward example. Yeah, and I was going to animate all of these, but seriously, with the amount of lines, it just wasn't going to work. So green is your customer, and blue is you. You're the ferry company. So you have a customer, and this customer can send its freight on your ship or ships, which is what that ship symbol represents, operating from different ports, from different countries, going to different countries, and every variation thereof. And those people, I'm going to bizarrely start from right to left, will either make a website booking. They'll go and say, I want to put this truck on your ship, a lorry or van. Yeah. They might ring up by telephone and make a telephone booking. People do still do that, yeah? Or they might have a contract which allows them to just rock up at the port at any given time, get into a queue and just get on the ship and go, yeah, I work for this company, okay? Now, if you think about the complexity of how that ferry company then needs to bill that supplier, that's a lot of data. They're different countries, different people. You've potentially got drivers who don't all speak the native language, and so on and so forth. So you need a really, really simple process that's robust. So all of that data, and I put the lines on going into a ship. You can tell I used to be an architect. I love these little pictures and lines. So the ship represents the sum data of everything that's sailed on it, yeah, all the versions of it, and then it comes down into your back office system, and somehow you need to get those invoices out, and that's what MBilling does. And it's a simple black box solution, yeah, that will handle and process that data in the frequency that you need it to do, and it's doing that right now for this very company. And then firing out of that are the invoices, whether that's by invitation to invoice or actually the invoices themselves. And you can do that either as a set of one-to-one invoices, group them together, or as one single invoice on any repeatable time that you'd like. So I promised you to have a quiz. This is a terrible one. I really regret putting this in here because it's such a dad joke. Right. What do all these people have in common? Yeah, I think you probably, I wouldn't look good with any of those haircuts. But, not only are they all in the music, it's a twofold answer. They're all in the music industry, obviously. They're all singers. Can anyone name all of the singers? If anyone can name all the singers, or at least the songs, I'll give you an extra raffle ticket with champagne. No, okay, right. So they, so they're all in the music industry, and their royalty rights are calculated using a complex billing solution. Yeah. The other thing is they all sung songs or wrote songs that have the words "Call Me" in the title. So if it is of any interest to you, I told you it was a dad joke, then please do reach out to us. We'd really love to go through it with you actually in a lot more depth, which is very hard to do without boring people who aren't interested in it. Yeah. So the iCore team, in case you can't see them in the audience or crane your necks around, Jacques and Rob, please go and speak to them, and I'd love to talk you through it in more detail. And that's it from me. Thank you very much.